My name is Yanela Piñera. I'm a principal dancer with the Queensland Ballet.
And my name is Joel Woellner. I'm also a principal dancer with Queensland Ballet, and I'm playing the role of Albrecht.
And I'm playing the role of Giselle. Giselle is about love, about betrayal, about salvation. And Giselle is a young peasant girl who falls in love of a young man. She believes he is a peasant too, and when the truth is revealed, she just falls apart and her world just breaks. She is an innocent girl, quite naive, and she loves to dance, and she's also very fragile. She has a very weak heart, but she loves life.
And so we start at the beginning of the ballet. Albrecht is dressed as a peasant and he's disguised, and it's kind of a ritual almost that he goes to the peasant village and escapes his responsibilities, his title as a prince, and adorns his costume to then see Giselle, and they play games together, they play kissing games together, and I really believe that they genuinely love each other. Towards the end of Act 1, however, it's revealed that he is engaged or married to someone else, and Giselle, like Yanni said, falls apart, and I think there's a lot of remorse for what Albrecht has done to her and how that's affected her, and really he realises that he actually does love her more than anything else. And it's quite a story arc, and it's quite a story of forgiveness in Act 2 when, you know, he apologises and we meet the Queen of the Willies who makes him dance until he dies, and Giselle really is the one that saves him.
Yes, she is a true love between them, but I think it's actually an impossible love. And once we are in Act 2, it's set in the woods, and she just want to save him. And at the end of the story, it's a win-love story, and it just every time I get the opportunity to portray this role, I feel like I discover so many new things, so many details, and even though that we have the gestures and the pantomime where we tell the story for the audiences to understand, I think the most important is the emotions and the feeling. I think is when the audiences will get the true love and the true story.
There's also another character in the ballet called Hilarion, and he's the one that really pushes the story along. He also loves Giselle, but she doesn't feel that way for him either. And he finds Albrecht's sword and cloak and realises who he really is. And he's the one that exposes actually who Albrecht is in front of Giselle, in front of the entire court, in front of the entire peasants, Giselle's mum. And so this is the moment that's called the mad scene, when Giselle's world falls apart.
Yeah, when the truth is revealed and her world falls apart, she feels heartbroken, and she, at some point, she's not even understand where she is or who she is. I think there is a moment when she don't recognize her mom, where everyone is looking at her, and she has all these eyes looking at her, and she don't recognize anyone anymore. And at the end, when she dies, I think that's the most heartbreaking part of the ballet, and also it has a strong, powerful ending of the Act 1, and then in Act 2 when she's a spirit and they both dance together, and her love for him, she forgives him, and it's a wonderful character to dance. And this choreography in particular has a lot of technicality, has a lot of interpretation, and I think if you make the role your own, is where everything is gonna be more natural and people will actually understand and get the sense of the interpretation. We have rehearsal for a couple of weeks, and during the rehearsal process we set things, how we gonna do this, what we prefer in terms of our interpretation to each other, and we always have this process where we actually study the roles. And in the beginning of the rehearsal process we just were talking about I think the role makes me feel like this way in this part, or maybe we can feel this way together. And everything is set in rehearsal, you can practice every day, but I think once you're on stage, you just let the emotions go, and even that you've been rehearsal for a few weeks, you just let yourself go, and I think is what make natural and the most credible story.
Yeah, it's a very personal ballet, and the characters require a lot of integrity and a lot of it just needs to make sense and to feel comfortable in your body. And the more honest you are with yourself when it comes to how you portray and do certain movements or acting moments or looking in each other's eyes, it reads really well, and everyone can see that it's you dancing as well. So I really feel like with this role especially, I can be more myself than the character in this role. Whereas, you know, some other ones like Swan Lake, it's like, you know, you have to be the prince or something like that, but I get to be me as this character on the stage, and that's what's really special about it. And in Act 2, there's a really beautiful part of Deux Together where Giselle's come back as a ghost, and she's like vapor, and she's like smoke, and the pas de deux is really intimate. There's so many moments of looking in each other's eyes, and the music is so quiet, and the way that you have to partner Giselle, it needs to look like she's floating and like she's a mist or ghost, and there's moments where you got to hug her and it's like she passes through your hands and she's gone. And it's really beautiful because she is more smoke at the beginning, and then she becomes more solid and real, and he can see her and feel her and touch her. And then towards the end, it's like she's evaporating again, and the sun's coming up and she's going, and he doesn't want her to go, but they've gone through this night of just like unending dancing and dying and death, but there's just this love and this forgiveness, and at the end it's just like this incredible joyous apology and acceptance, and it's really special. For Albrecht, it's incredibly physically demanding, and the whole point of the story, it's like he's dying and he can't even stand up, and you're dying, you can't stand up, so you don't even have to act on stage, you can barely walk, you can barely stand. So towards the end of, like after we finished a run or after we finished a show, you kind of hobble to the dressing room and you give your partner a hug because you've gone through this together. And it takes such a long time to wind down because you've experienced so much and you've given so much and you're so exhausted. It just takes a while to just like settle everything and to kind of come back down.
Yeah, when you finish the show, you're so exhausted that sometimes I feel I just left my heart in the middle of the stage, and it's the most rewarding feeling, and I think that's the magic of a live performance. When the curtain goes down and you finish the whole ballet, you're so tired, but sometimes I'm even feeling like I can do it again. I want to do it again. Like it's a very special feeling, and I think it's very unique. And once we finish, we go to the dressing room and then we take our makeup off and hair off, and it's like you left your soul and everything on stage, and it's just wonderful. In Act 2, there is so many beautiful moments, and I think one of the more powerful moments is when all the wheelies are on stage, and it's this amazing moment where all of them doing the same thing, very sharp and very together, and it's so impressive. And being dancing among them, it makes you also build your role as well. And I think the Willies are one of the most powerful, and being one of them when you are in the corps, it's you have to watch the line, you have to get a lot of stamina, because they powerful, and they really they make men dance to death, and is one of the most beautiful parts of the ballet.
And having to dance for my life, all the women hate men, and their whole point and their whole existence is for men to die, because they have this feeling against them. And when you're in the middle of it and you're exhausted, you just see their fury in their eyes, and that gives you more on stage. Particularly the Queen of the Willies, you're begging her for your life, and she's just like, I don't care at all, keep dancing. And when you have that queen that is just so awful like that, it's so good to bounce off, I feel anyway. And all the women standing around in big circles, and they're blocking you from leaving and constantly trying to get away. It's quite a force of amazing women.
When the Willies are dancing in the beginning of the Act 2, and Giselle just comes to the world, she's new, and Mirtha, the Queen of Willy, make her dance. And once Albrecht gets into the wood after midnight, and all the Willies make them dance until death, but then Giselle forgives him, and the love goes beyond the death. And I think it's a beautiful, special moment when Giselle appears in the world, and they both dance together, and all the Willies are there around us the whole time, the whole act. It's very special. And
we've just seen in the scene before Hilarions, it depends like what version you know, but Hilarions kind of like taken Giselle's body and dug her grave, and because she's died a very bad death, she wasn't allowed a cross, but Hilarion loves her so much he's built a cross for her, and that's kind of like a protective sign against the Willies as well. And there's a moment where Albrecht's surrounded, the Queen of the Willies is saying, this is it, you have to dance until you die. And Giselle appears, and it's their love in the shape of the cross that deflects Mirtha, and she can't touch them because of the power that they have between each other. And I think it's transcending of death and life. It's something that is eternal. I think it covers a lot of themes and stories. If it's your first ballet, it's very easy to understand. And in the end, I think it's an extremely uplifting ballet, even though it has a lot of drama and it has a lot of sadness. I think there is something that everyone can relate to in the end of the show. Also, it's really physically demanding. So as an audience, seeing someone, just absolutely giving everything, and that's from like so many characters in the performance, everyone's giving so much. I think it's really something audiences will appreciate watching on stage. Yes, it's a beautiful ballet with a beautiful score, and the music and the choreography match so well that everyone loved it. And at the end of the night, I think people, even if it's a very dramatic ending, I think people goes home and they, I think we made them happy, and that's the most beautiful thing, when you make people happy coming to see the shows. And it's a great ballet to see and to come to our show.